Hey, people of Earth, it's time to enter the Spoilerverse via our secret portal at the exclusive Arctic Club in beautiful downtown Seattle with our hosts, John and Kenrick and Casey. Welcome to Spoiler Country!
Hey, if you're listening to our show for the first time and you're on one of the social medias that we're on, like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, any of those kinds of things, you should always check us out on Spoilerverse.com. But if you want to keep up with our latest episodes, you should bring out your smartphone, get into your favorite podcatcher, find Spoiler Country, and hit subscribe. Then you'll get all our new stuff.
And if you want to reach out to us, you can do that in two ways. You can call us, leave us a voicemail at 707-656-2080. Again, 707-656-2080. Or you can shoot us an email at spoilercountry@gmail.com.
Welcome back to Spoiler Country. I am Kenneth Regan. That right there is, I think he's right there. Maybe he's over there. I don't know. One of those with the hat on is Mr. Horsley, the very handsome man with glasses and the steely blue eyes that makes that I can't stop looking at because they look almost like he's wearing contacts is Mr. Allen. And of course, the jovial, amazing Mr. Sumner, as always.
Greetings, people of Earth.
Another WandaVision, and we're going to talk about episode 7.
Yep.
Let's do this.
The amazing episode 7.
Yeah, the amazing episode 7. So did we see Photon?
I think we did.
Right on. I think we did.
Yeah.
I think we did, mate. Yeah, for sure.
What is her? Somebody tell me her power set, because I'll be honest, I am not familiar with Photon because, out of the thousands of Marvel characters, that's one I know Monica Rambeau as Captain Marvel. I don't know her as Photon.
She kind of mirrors Captain Marvel in some ways because she was Captain Marvel in the comics, and then it's kind of modified. It's like the layman's term. It's like light beams. She's strong and she has light beams.
Was she Captain Marvel or was she Miss Marvel?
She was Captain Marvel. She was the second Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And she was Captain Marvel for a while too, right?
Yeah, all the 80s.
Throughout the 80s, yeah.
Oh, yeah, throughout the 80s. Sure.
That was the first Captain Marvel that I knew. Just from me reading comics at the time.
I wonder when they're going to... I guess they have that in their back pocket when people get sick of Brie Larson being Captain Marvel. They can just move her on over.
Well,
Also,
they're very good at succession planning in Marvel, aren't they? Sorry, Casey. Didn't mean to...
Oh, no. I'm just saying I love how they carried the hair over because she had that hair in the 80s.
Yeah.
In the comics. And it's not exactly the same, but it kind of mirrors that look that she had.
What's the actress's name that's playing Monica? You guys even know off the top of her head?
Let me look it up, but she's fantastic. She does such a
She's
good job.
fantastic. She has
So many
this is
good
gonna
women
sound weird.
actresses.
She has an amazing face.
Oh, no, she's brilliant actress. Sorry, guys. She's Turner Paris, right? That's who plays her.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Turner Paris, yeah.
Yeah. Her facial expressions and her, I don't know, she has a very, very pretty girl. So I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. It's just, she has a very unique.
Steady on.
Face.
Yeah. She's very distinctive looking, isn't she?
Yeah.
And just to flip back to what's the power set, I was just trying to revise to remember what it is because I realized, I don't actually know. There are most heroes, and I've read a bunch of things that should be in most heroes. I'm like, I know what they do. And usually when I can't when it doesn't come to me off the top of my head, it means that the power set is quite spectacularly ill-defined, which I think probably Photon is a good example of this. But essentially, Rambeau can transform herself into any form of energy within the electromagnetic spectrum. And among the many energy forms she's assumed and is able to control are cosmic rays, gamma rays, X-rays, ultraviolet radiation, visible light, electricity, infrared, microwaves, radio waves, and neutrinos. And by assuming an energy form, she gains all of that energy's properties. And that, I would imagine, is when she becomes energized, because she's clearly had that transformation made by breaking the barrier of the hex a third time. When she first comes through and she's clearly her powers are in full bloom, and she's got the bright blue glowing eyes. She's looking at the world in terms of, electromagnetic waves, isn't she? Her normal vision only tunes back in when she tunes her power back out.
Right.
When you first see her looking around once she's come through the barrier, nothing looks normal to her, does it? It looks like
everything's kind of cartoony
from a spectroscope. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but I think what the MCU's been traditionally good at doing is defining the limits of some of these powers when the comics have never really done a great job of doing it. Because I think Rambo's a classic example of somebody whose power set that different creative teams have fiddled with slightly, right. So there's the reason it's difficult to go, what are our powers again? It's not like the Hulk, which is a very easy concept, right? Or Ant-Man, which is a very easy concept. You get a lot of creative twinking around with it. Yeah. So, that being the case, it's while it is fairly easy to explain, it's all about electromagnetic waves. The limits and what of those powers and what those powers can do has changed a lot depending upon the creative team.
It all comes down. It's like Johnny once said to me, we're having the age-old argument. If so and so are fighting, who wins? And he had the best line ever, and I think we've used it ever since. It's, well, who's writing?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, exactly right.
Who's writing that thing?
I mean, there's great examples of Inside the Adventures of Superman TV show from the 50s with George Reeves, which is, unless you've grown up being a fan of that, by the way, is kind of difficult to watch for more than 5 or 10 minutes because the title sequence is great. It's like many old shows, unless you have that intrinsic love for them because you grew up watching them. You watch them now, and of course, they move very slowly. And it's like watching Scooby-Doo. Every episode is exactly the same. Same thing happens time and time and time again. Except what they do occasionally in The Adventures of Superman is they kind of give him a power of the week, which he uses in that one episode, and you never see him use it again, right? Or it's like suddenly in Superman, I think it's in Superman 2, the climax of Superman 2 in the Fortress of Solitude, Superman starts whipping out all these things he can do with his costume. Like take his S logo,
cellophane thing,
turn it into a big cellophane.
So awful.
What? What? Hang on, wait a minute.
Everybody was like, "What is that?
Yeah.
What just happened?"
I mean, I'm all for suspending my disbelief, but just blatantly making shit up, just to get to the next point of the script. It's like that doesn't make any sense. Nobody's even batted an eyelid. What did you just do? Why have you never done that before or since? Why did you never even mention that you can do it? You know what I mean?
Now,
was that such a weird one?
Was that a Donner edition, or did Donner want that in the movie to begin with? Because there were two different directors on Superman 2,
now that's definitely 100% from the Richard Lester version of the movie, which by the way, has its strengths, yeah. But the thing is, if you see the Donner cut, which I prefer, the problem with the Donner cut is the Donner cut's been essentially restored from existing footage, yeah.
Right.
And if Donner had gone on to shoot Superman 2, he too would have included a different ending because they were shooting 1 and 2 back to back, and when they ultimately ran out of money, had to focus just on 1. They took the ending from 2 and made it the ending to 1, right? Which is the equally ridiculous, by the way, flying around the world and turning time back. Yeah, I hated it too. It's nonsense, right? And a massive cop out. Oh yeah, look, it never happened. But that was going to be the ending to 1 was going to be the villains getting out of the Phantom Zone, right? And then that was going to be a cliffhanger, and the ending to 2 was going to be turning back the world. And they took all of that work and stuck it into 1. So when you watch the Donner cut of 2, which I totally recommend, when you watch it, it just defaults to that original ending because he didn't shoot anything else. So rather than go with the Lester ending, he goes with the turning back time ending. And so it's a great viewing experience, the Donner cut, but it's not a perfect experience because it doesn't stand alone as its own movie. It can't do because it's using shit that's in the first film. Having said that, though, there are a handful of scenes that are in the Donner cut that are totally worth seeing, not the least of which is the fact that the Superman's identity reveal is much better in the Donner cut than in the Richard Lester cut. And there's some great scenes of him and Marlon Brando as well, meeting face to face, which they don't do in the original cuts of those movies. On that note, though, it's probably a good idea if we flip back to WandaVision.
You know what's funny is we talked about, Johnny and I had Robert on Wednesday, or Thursday,
Thursday.
And we talked about WandaVision, and Robert had a bunch of theories. And it was just funny because we ended up talking about Superman 2 and the Donner cut on that one as well.
It's brilliant. I love it.
It just keeps going. No, because we were talking about what is the Snyder cut. That's where that was from, not
cut,
WandaVision.
Oh, yeah.
It was Snyder cut. But Robert did have some interesting takes on WandaVision.
He did. It's interesting thoughts, which the episode's out. So if everyone wants to listen to it, you can go listen to that. It's a lot of fun. But his theories aren't all debunked by this episode, too. Some of them, they could still be there, you know?
What's the biggest reveal?
Can you give me a flavor of what he was saying?
Essentially, the bulk of what he was saying is he thinks that it's not actually Wanda or anybody else behind it. It's partially Vision or somebody controlling Vision that's creating this hex, because the hex is more of a computer generated thing than being a magic, having it hexagon like that and being like.
Okay, interesting.
I think it's more like, you know, Vision or the director guy or Ultron or somebody controlling everything behind the scenes.
But he uses some specific things that we saw that he feels are Easter eggs. Yeah, or not Easter eggs, but hints of what's going on. Like when she says when she looks at Vision, I think in the first episode, maybe the second episode, and she says, "You're in the driver's seat."
Yeah,
you know, and he thinks like these are things that are happening that they're saying they're telling us what's happening without telling us what's happening.
And like at the show, when he says the audience will believe whatever you tell them to believe because they don't understand the universe, stuff like that. Little tells that like Vision says he may not know he's in control, but his creation is what kind of sparked all this. But I mean, with this episode, with the reveal of Agatha, which we all predicted, it kind of lends it to be more on that side of it, that being the creation versus Vision. But I still think that the director and Sword have some big part to do with the creation of this whole thing.
Oh, 100%. Well, particularly as the reveal about Hayward. Actually, before this ever started, he's working on a project to bring back the Vision, which he hadn't told Rambeau or any of the others about. That's what Cataract is. Cataract was a plan to reactivate the Vision as like a sentient weapon. You know, so this obviously has played a part in all of this coming about. And I guess that's part of what we'll see. Do you know, one of the things I really liked about the episode was that despite the fact that we, and just about any other Marvel fan who knows their stuff, had predicted that Agnes was going to be Agatha Harkness.
Right.
Even though I knew not deep down inside, but quite close to the surface that that's who she had to be.
Right.
Where at the point where they made the reveal, it was still like, oh wow, you know what I mean? Still like it's emotionally it played out like a shock.
What did you think of that whole ending? The way they introduced her and they had all those cut scenes, showing what she was doing.
With the monster, the confluence of like doing a kind of parallax view, Alan J. Packard thing where you go back and see it from a different angle, coupled with the title sequence of the monsters. I just thought that was genius. You know what I mean? With a monster style theme tune. I thought that was fucking phenomenal. I loved it. Dude, absolutely loved it.
Her basement was crazy.
Right.
The
reveal of when like that cutscene when they showed her on the grass and Pietro at the door and that. If you watched in the episode that Pietro comes in, if you look in the very far background, you can see her hand behind Pietro when he first shows up. Like
absolutely brilliant, really.
Yeah. That scene they actually shot that scene and her hand is in the background, as you can see it come, like blurry in the background come up, and it's like the attention to details in the saying on the show.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I know that we keep on giving Catherine Hahn her props, but man, she was amazing in this. It just in 3-minute sequence alone. She does so much, and she has so many different variations of Agatha, and she's leaning hard into the whole Monsters, Addams Family vibe. It's just brilliant, you know.
She's so good. Do you think now that we know she's the one who brought in Quicksilver, that she's just messing with Wanda? By having it be Evan Peters and not the original Pietro? That it's just a big mind, for lack of a better term, a big mind fuck.
Like she could have deliberately plucked Evan Peters Pietro from another aspect of the multiverse and put him in. And the thing is, that's really fucking with Wanda because hey, it feels like my brother. It's not like he isn't Pietro. He's just not my Pietro. You know what I mean?
Right.
I and it's got much more resonance than him just being a guy she's cast as him. The fact that he really is him, so that when Wanda's kind of contacting his mind or whatever, it's like, well, yeah, you are Pietro. So I think that's a much more powerful thing to do than it's just, oh yeah, he happens to look like him.
It's kind of a crazy episode. One of the things I can't wait to do is for the end of the season, for the season to be done and be able to watch it all the way through.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Watch all the way in one swoop.
Yeah, because right now I'm enjoying us talking about it and
so
being excited for next week, because Netflix doesn't give you this.
Yeah, this is
that's right.
Yeah, you know who does give you this right now is HBO.
Yeah.
You know, and DC has a chance to do the same kind of stuff of being this week to week excitement for it, which I think it's kind of funny. We're coming full circle. Like, this is how it was. Like, I remember when Dallas was on in the 80s.
Yeah.
And you'd go to school and all the girls, not so much the guys, but all the girls would be talking about Dallas and, you know, what was going on. And then you'd see all the commercials and who shot JR. And it was a big deal, you know, and it was that excitement from week to week and giving something people to talk about. Or The Stand, when the miniseries The Stand came out, you know, how everything was happening and, you know, just all of this kind of stuff. It's kind of fun. And then in like 2010, you know, and everything just started becoming dropped on us.
Well, it's all reality TV too.
Yeah. And Netflix kind of fed that binge feeling of it. I want to binge it all at once. And now Hulu and Disney Plus and HBO Max, they're all kind of keeping that old school style but old school style scheduling, you know? And I think that's how you're building this excitement right now that you don't get that.
Well, it's better now too than it was. Like, honestly, like having to go watch a channel at a certain time when a show comes on always pissed me off. I hate having to schedule a timeout, but now I don't mind that it's week to week. Actually, I love it because it builds the anticipation. It's awesome. But the fact that on Friday I can watch it anytime I want on Friday, you know,
at 1 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
You can be watching WandaVision.
Right.
I mean, I watched it I was like, I got to get to sleep. It was Thursday night, went to bed, couldn't fall asleep, which I've been having a lot of issues with that like last 3 months. 3 a.m. comes around. And I'm just like, F it. And I just turned on WandaVision and I had already watched it before I even fell asleep to start my new day.
I had to watch it again today when I got home from work. We had crazy weather this week and I had to miss a day of work, and that meant that I had to stay for like 12-hour days. And then I came in for a few hours this morning. I tried to watch it last night and I fell asleep. And, so I watched it while I was having my coffee when I got home. And did y'all notice in Agatha's basement the book?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is possibly the Darkhold.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. The
That was
Darkhold.
pretty cool.
See, that's so funny because the Darkhold is a series of books that was in the 90s. I loved that whole thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I got all in. I mean, I dove deep into that whole thing. I got all the Midnight Suns. I got everything. I was reading that like crazy. And then they just kind of dropped it. Right? Because it wasn't a real popular thing. Marvel just kind of dropped that whole series.
Well, because of like the Ghost Rider series and everything, like they were running on all cylinders for a little while. I can't think of the writer. I actually talked to him not long ago for the podcast, but the
guy that did Danny Ketch.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's that period of time where
like
Johnny is like, he's not the Ghost Rider and he's, supernatural investigator, right?
Yes.
Right. And they introduced Danny Ketch as the Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Howard Mackey. Yeah.
Howard Mackey.
And the villains for those books were freaking fantastic. Like
crazy.
Yes. Like a Skinner creeped the hell out of me because I was around that age where I could read a comic and get kind of creeped out.
You must have been like 11, 10.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Skinner was like one of the big bads where he got called back to, he had gone off, started his own life, had a family and kids and everything, but he had this secret past where he was a demon. And then he got called back to.
I don't remember any of this.
It was fucking brutal because he was like, "Oh, I guess I'm gonna go be a demon again," and he murders his entire family in this comic made for children. So
that's right.
Yes, so that shit was off the chain. So knowing that they're kind of dipping their toes in like
but it had a
type of supernatural stuff.
It had an M on it. You look at that book.
Oh, for real?
The book looks like it has an M on the front of the book.
Maybe it's the Markhold.
I didn't catch that.
Or maybe it's the Book of Mephisto.
Well, did you guys catch that they did introduce Mephisto in this episode?
Yeah, with the
old
fly.
Scratch.
Yep. They 100%. Yeah, they 100% Mephisto. He's in the show. But now, are they gonna reveal him fully in the show, or just a teaser for later movies and stuff?
Did y'all realize
he's the big bad for Doctor Strange?
Yeah, maybe.
Did y'all get the rabbit's name?
No,
Mr. Scratchy.
No. Scratchy.
Oh, yeah,
Old Scratch.
Is that what the rabbit's called, Mr. Scratchy?
Yes.
Oh, mate, that's
awesome.
just the biggest. That's the biggest signpost imaginable.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a Scabbers to Harry Potter type deal, isn't it?
Yeah,
where he's going to have been in plain sight the whole time. Of course,
yeah.
I think that's a really good call, Casey.
And this is me totally being like,
I totally missed that.
The Marvel version of a QAnon idiot, but
Manon. Set yourself up as M tweeting crazy horse shit about Marvel, 24/7. Yeah, they're all fucking Kevin Feige's on a flight with Trump now. They're both going to become the next presidents of the world.
That'd be funny as hell.
That'd be awesome.
Blatantly making shit up. Which, let's face it, that's what those people do. I dropped in the word people rather than the English word I was going to use then. And I thought, maybe we might not be that family friendly.
The English C word.
I like
that's
that
right.
Word.
Yeah,
good word.
Me too. Yeah. I deploy it all the time, as the gents know. I just felt
cuts like a knife.
Talking about WandaVision 7 wasn't the right time.
Yeah, probably not.
Only in America is the C word so viled.
Right.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, I'm going to open up a whole can of worms, so I'm not going to go down the street. But there's another word that every other nation in the world uses, but you don't, because it's a hot topic issue. And all I'll say is it ties around the issue of pro-life and pro-choice. Right? In no other country in the world, in the developed world, is pro-life and pro-choice even a conversation. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just, the real thing that is just a legal medical process that's considered to be necessary. And everybody uses that word, you know what I mean, all the time. Nobody else, there's no other countries that say pro-life and pro-choice and have these weird kind of alternate words for it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
It's a country for sure.
Yeah. But by the way, so's the UK. So I'm not trying to say that things are okay here, as you know, without sounding like a broken record. All I'll say is we've got a royal family, right? So, that's all you need to know about how sensible the UK is.
Yeah.
So circling back to last week, as a callback, I started off this episode and starts off with Wanda in bed. She goes in and her kids are up and kind of fighting. And she immediately goes, before really saying anything to anybody else, pours her own self a bowl of cereal. And my wife got a whole lot out of that. She said, I told you that bitch was tired. So she was feeling it.
That's funny.
Yeah. That was great. And also, I basically... we haven't really touched upon it, but I love the whole Modern Family touches.
Yeah,
and the subtle nods. There was that great moment where Vision has that, Jim from The Office moment, just looking at the camera. There's a point where something happens when he's in, thinking about something, or he's in the truck with Darcy, and he just looks at the camera with that kind of like, look, you know what I mean? It's just brilliant. Yeah, really good.
Everybody's like, what am I doing? Why am I talking to you? And just flies away.
Yeah. That is kind of funny.
Darcy's like, just leave me here. Okay.
On the intro, there was you kept seeing different variations of Wanda during their introduction, like the theme. There was it only showed it for like 2 seconds, said there was a message that said something like, we know what you're doing, Wanda, like hidden in between all the different flashes of Wanda. I thought that was interesting. And then when she's being like the face-to-face interview with the camera and that voice speaks up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says something like, do you think this happened because you deserve it or something like that? Was that her conscience or was that Agatha fucking with her?
That was that. Well, according to the reveal of Agatha, it was Agatha because she was sitting there at that.
She was sat behind the camera. Yeah, exactly right.
That was wild. I dug that.
What do you think was happening with the breakdown of the hex and that things changing and like the kids playing the video game, it turns all the way back into cards, and you think that's the hex breaking down?
Point. I took that to be Wanda's with the extension of the hex. She just doesn't have the control over it that she did when she kept it to a relatively small field. So now that she's projected that much wider, it takes a lot of energy, which is why she's tired, by the way. She's knackered because she's exerting all that energy over the hex field.
Which is also a callback to the comics, because when in the comics, I think it's in the Scarlet Witch and Vision series in the 80s, when she manifests the kids for the first time, Billy and Tommy, and Agatha's the babysitter. There's the whole part where when her power gets expressed too much, the babies just disappear, and things just because they're just visions of just made them up. And I don't know if they're doing that in the show here, but you notice they disappeared probably because Agatha made them go somewhere. But other things are changing because their powers are being stretched, which is a callback to like the old comics when their powers get stretched too much. Things you can't control it.
Yeah.
Is that also like in the same storyline where they become baby hands?
Yeah, it is.
You know what I'm talking about?
The guy with the babies, his arms are baby hands, which is like the weirdest thing ever. It's the thing.
Hey, when you in the comics, I can't remember what series. It might be House of M, or it might be before. I'm not quite 100% sure. One of them, when she loses her kids, and they die, and she's in the throes of guilt, and she's in the throes of depression. She whispers, "No more mutants." All the mutants are gone. Okay. I'm wondering if this is how they're going to bring in all the mutants, because she's going to say something, or she's going to produce something to say, it's like bringing her kids in is the catalyst for creating all these mutants.
Well, if her kids are real, they're technically the first mutants because they're born with powers,
right?
So they would be the first mutants if they're not just magical, but they seem to be real. I think Agatha's just hiding them somewhere. So
well, it's going to be difficult. I mean, I guess they're the first mutants in the world, in the current universe.
Yeah,
but we can't forget, because at some point they're going to do Apocalypse correctly, hopefully, not Mighty Morphin Power Ranger style.
That was so awful.
Yeah, and at that point, if they do him, then he's going to have been there forever. So it's going to be an interesting thing. I'm curious how they're going to.
Well, they're going to merge the worlds, and it's going to be to where everybody, the mutants are just going to be there, right? Because they're going to merge the worlds, right? I think after Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness, it's going to be that the mutants are part of the world, and they've always been there because of this merging of universes that's going to happen. And it's going to be, we're going to know that, hey, they didn't used to be there, but in the world of the MCU, there's going to be mutants who have been there for ever, and it's just going to be a part of the world now because it's going to be the whole merging of the universe.
Do you guys like that they've taken Wanda away from being a mutant? Now she's not.
No, not really, but
it'll fluctuate, I'm sure, again, even in the TV shows and movies, because it's done that in the comics so many different times. I mean,
but she was a mutant in the comics for a really long time,
up until Fox.
Yeah, and it's just. Go ahead, Casey. You look like. Are you raising your hand? Is that what you're doing? Are we in grade school?
No, Casey's introducing his questions by raising his hand, which I actually think is a brilliant thing to do.
Like a press person. No. I wanted to say, one of you guys had a point earlier about, I think John said something about merging. The commercial this week was for Nexus, which brings to mind the Nexus of all realities in the comics.
Yep.
So are they, spoon feeding us like, hey, this is going to happen? Or is it just like you think that stuff is just callback for the fans, or they're going like, no, buddy, we're going to get into some. And if that's the case, are we going to get Man-Thing? Going to get a giant size Man-Thing up in here?
Well, I mean, I think so. if they're doing Nexus of all realities, and they're positioning wanted to be a Nexus being like she is in the comics, where there's only one Nexus being per universe, and that leads into the creation of Man-Thing. I think, it's not a far stretch to think that down the road we're going to get a Man-Thing, which would be cool.
So I'm gonna put my cards on the table here and go tell you that I absolutely don't care if Man-Thing appears in the MCU or not. I literally could not care less. I hadn't thought about this till you mentioned the words, but I realized, you might just have found my least favorite Marvel character, one that I spectacularly don't care about.
Swamp Thing did it better. So.
It's Swamp Thing. And here's the thing, right? Check this out. This is fucking heresy, but I don't really like Swamp Thing that much. I just don't think I'm really into kind of swamp-based, alternative consciousnesses coming to life.
Alan Moore didn't start worshiping 800-year-old Greek gods for you to be lukewarm on Swamp Thing.
Man. Oh, that's right. Come on. Yeah, and I'm such a fan of his as well. Such a fan of his as well. But I'm not a massive fan. Certainly not a massive fan of Man-Thing. And while we're on to kind of like superhero Marvel DC heresy, I'll mention a few other things. I don't actually. I am not at all bothered by the fact that Wanda and Pietro and whoever wasn't identified as mutants, because for me, as an old school Marvel fan, I used to love the X-Men when it was the X-Men. When the X-Men became a universe within the Marvel universe, right. I at a certain point, when they became as big as they are, I read every X-Men comic there was. This is probably in the early 80s, So once it's Claremont and Byrne. And then all that, it's Claremont and Cockrum. I read all of those books, right? But once it started to massively expand into that multi-level ongoing soap opera that it is to this day, I just kind of stopped caring about it. And for me,
kind of tuned out.
Exactly. It's only my opinion, but it's creatively very different, but it sat in the same space as why I don't like reading the Legion of Superheroes either. To me, it's like, oh man, it's just that it's too big for me. I'd rather see like pared down stories. I love the connectivity in the universe, but something I'm not into is crossover books, right? There are very few of the big crossovers that I've actually read all of and really enjoyed, because I just don't like the way that within the books that you follow, the narrative which you may be loving kind of gets dragged to a halt or has to fit into that overarching narrative. So I love Brubaker's Captain America, for example, but there's a whole sequence of it which gets dragged into the whole Civil War thing. And I think it might be good for Civil War, but it wasn't good for the story he was trying to tell. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's a very kind of long, involved way of saying that. I just don't care whether Wanda's a mutant or not. I want Wanda to be used really interestingly, which is currently definitely what they're doing. However it works out.
Wanda be Wanda.
Very interesting. Yeah.
And that what you brought up about the X-Men as them, being so big in the Marvel universe and having their own little thing, that was one reason I wasn't really bothered that they weren't originally part of the MCU, because there's so much
didn't need
going on in their stories. Yeah, we didn't need it.
Yeah. No, that's right. And do you remember there was a period of time in the late 80s where they essentially developed a whole Punisher universe as well. So Punisher became very, very successful once editor Carl Potts and author Stephen Grant recreated it. And then you have all those great stories that are written by like Mike Barron and guys like this. This is before
Chuck Dixon,
Barron and Dixon, both of whom are incredibly right-wing guys, by the way, these days. But if you want QAnon, you want to look at what they write. Yeah, I know. I wonder where the clues were. But once they widen that, Punisher universe, it's like 4 books or something. Yeah, they write these entertaining stories of a maniac fascist who's going around and shooting people to death. Apparently these guys are quite right wing. I hear.
Dude, Punisher is hardcore too, man. Because you'll read it and there'll be like scenes of just torture and rape and just. It's insane.
It's heavy. I mean, one of the reasons that I actually prefer the Garth Ennis iteration is because that's a black comedy right from the get-go. He's a guy who's not right-wing, writing about very right-wing things and finding it amusing. Right. Kind of like the guys who write about Judge Dredd. The whole idea is just a joke, right? So hit Casey, yeah.
No. I was saying Garth Ennis knows I think the guys from the 80s, like Chuck Dixon and Barron, all those, they were like, this guy is doing what needs to be done. And Garth Ennis is like, fuck this guy. This guy is a fucking terrible person. And he's going out there. So yeah, exactly. Yeah. He was written by Ennis not as a hero, but as somebody who is deeply damaged.
Well,
which by the way, that's the way that Conway created him. That's what he is. That's Conway's vision of who the Punisher is.
We had
that
Conway.
Was the whole idea.
Casey asked Conway when he was on about his feelings with everybody kind of using the Punisher symbol as an icon, like on their truck and on their, on their shirts, but they're not wearing it like I'm a Marvel fan and I'm a fan of these characters. They're using it as I believe in what this guy is doing.
Oh yeah,
and Jared's
like I am a fascist.
Completely
badge, right?
off of what that's supposed to be.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Yeah, 100%. He's supposed to be a commentary on the extremity of that. He's not supposed to be a standard bearer for the extremity of that. That's a very different thing.
Yeah, I don't think some of those guys that are using that symbol understand that.
They don't.
At all. I would say I don't think any of them do. I don't think you'll stop any of those cops or soldiers who are wearing Punisher emblems. You go, what's that about? And I go, oh, yeah, I'm just being gloriously ironic. I read this, and then I read a copy of The Ragged Trousered Philanthropist. And then I think about Karl Marx for a few seconds. Then obviously
I'm reading the Punisher, and then I'm flipping up in my book of Catch 22.
Yeah.
And I go back to battalion headquarters and get deployed. That's absolutely not the conversation these guys are having.
My God, that's hilarious.
the cops wearing the Punisher shields. I wouldn't be surprised if they like roll around the cop car listening to like Screwdriver or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Like
before they start taking drugs and fucking each other as well. You've got to remember that. Probably all like jerking each other off to Punisher comics while like snorting cocaine in the back of the paddy wagon. To me,
this is taking a hard right, man.
To be clear, the C word's too hardcore for this podcast, but that's not.
All right. Oh, you cunts are funny.
Yeah.
And explicit.
Oh God. Oh, so WandaVision. Oh my God, you guys are making me cough. I'm laughing so hard.
What do you think's happening next episode? Because this is a huge switch. This changes the tone and everything in the show.
Do we think we start seeing the breakdown of the Hex more, or you think it's done?
Like,
Casey, I know you've got something to say about this.
No, I was going to ask, how many more do we have? Do we just have two?
Two more.
Two more.
So we're going to have to get some answers. Soon.
Hey, am I right in thinking that the final one is a bit longer than the others? Is that right? Have I heard?
I hope so. God, I hope so.
It was like an hour or something.
This one felt so short.
Yeah, it felt. I mean, it does feel really short because it's like the experience you have. If you have like a favorite network show, but you watch it on a streaming platform, like I think I mentioned it before, I'm a big fan of SVU. But when you watch SVU on streaming, you realize every episode is only 42 minutes long. And actually, you burn through them really, really quickly, quickly. And it's like, with this being essentially a half-hour show, but it has massively long credits, you're really only getting about 25 minutes of content in each episode. And you're just desperate for more. And did you see that meme about, I've figured out who the real arch villain is in WandaVision? It's this title card. And it is a screenshot of the title card that says, please stay tuned or whatever. Because everybody sees that and goes, oh, fuck. Oh, God.
It always comes a time like, no, it's just getting really good. Keep going.
Why is that title? Why is the end credits so freaking long on this show?
It goes on forever.
It drives me nuts. Because then
the mid-credit scene.
Marvel, I'm thinking, oh no, I got to make sure there's not another scene, and they do that stupid freaking scene. They'll do a little bit of the credits, and then they'll do a scene, and then they have this 30-minute long credit thing going on, and you're thinking
super long.
Could be another scene. So you sit there, or you try to fast forward it, and then in my mind it's like, well, the scene might be 10 seconds, so I might not see it in the fast forward, in the preview during fast forward. So I don't want to do that, and then I'm sitting there for nothing. Literally nothing.
Has there been after credit scenes in every episode?
I don't think there has.
No. I'm certainly hoping that was the only one, because it's the only one I watched.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
There's one other.
Wasn't there one last week too?
I
like in the scene, like a mid-credit scene.
I just know this week had Pietro in it to show he's still there, but I didn't know there was any of them. I saw them. Wait, do I have to go back and watch all these things again?
Johnny, that is exactly.
Johnny, you got to do that, and you can report back. Let us know.
Thanks.
My favorite line from 30 Rock, where Tracy Morgan, his character says, I just realized what the ending of The Sixth Sense. The names are the people that worked on the movie.
Not wrong.
No. Very perceptive.
So I got my question though. What do you guys think happens next? Like, because we now know that Agnes is Agatha. She's revealed herself to Wanda. Is she going to reveal? Is Wanda actually controlling things, or is Agnes like? It hints at it. She's pulling the strings behind it. But like, what's going to happen in the last 2 episodes? This next episode.
I think we're going to see Agnes I think Agnes is doing some things, but I think at the end of the day, she's a handler.
Yeah.
I don't think she's anything more than just a handler to make sure that things run the way they're supposed to run for Wanda.
And I think the thing is,
for Wanda, or like she's working for Wanda, or like
no. When I say for Wanda, I'm just saying that things happen the way they need things to happen for Wanda.
She's there to massage the narrative in a certain way.
Exactly. She's a handler.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I think the other thing is, it's Agatha Harkness has spent a lot of her time in the Marvel universe actually being like either a positive influence, which she certainly always was in the Fantastic Four, or an ally of some kind, right? It's entirely, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that while they've set her up being evil and whatnot in that brilliant, Agatha all along title sequence, it could be that they're going to pivot at some point, before the show ends, and she either redeems herself or, actually comes out of the closet as actually being some kind of good guy, or like a representative of Doctor Strange, who's been like a deep cover agent all along.
Yeah. She's Mr. Snape.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Snape, exactly.
Yeah.
But by the way, I don't think we've ever talked about this, but something else that crossed my mind, and maybe it had come up, but in all our predictions about, well, she's definitely going to be Agatha Harkness. Do you know something that only struck me in this episode? It's that the name Agnes is, in fact, the first 2 letters of Agatha Harkness and the last 3 letters of Agatha Harkness. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like Agnes is like the beginning and the end of that name just put together.
Yeah. Did not catch that at all.
That's cool. No, I just thought about it. It just struck, but it's clearly super deliberate, like it is.
That's like a Stan Lee thing, though, right? Peter Parker.
It's like a massive clue.
Yeah.
That none of us ever talked about.
Oh yeah.
Just staring us in the face the whole time. Yeah. I was saying, Casey, that actually what I realized, I guess because English is my thing, right? And I like words and whatnot. When I was thinking about it, it's not that this is rocket science, by the way. I'm saying something obvious we didn't realize beforehand, is that Agnes is made up of the first 2 letters and the last 3 letters of Agatha Harkness.
It's the portmanteau.
Agatha Harkness. Agnes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the portmanteau.
Yeah. No, I knew that, guys.
Yeah, he's like, I knew that.
Yeah. It's like the portmanteau.
Here we are before Casey get back. We're all like, oh my god, we totally missed that.
So, like the hidden illustrations in Mad Magazine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So do you think that next episode's going to like fall back to a trope to start out with to kind of throw us off, or is it going to pick up right where it left off with Agatha and Wanda in the dungeon, like, and there's going to be a battle or something going on?
Excellent question. I think the only place you could possibly go, by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, for if you're going to do another comedy, would maybe be to go down the Big Bang Theory route. I can't really see that there's anything left that works within the time frames. Once they've got up to Modern Family, they're not going to do The Office because because The Office is mainly the same thing as is Parks and Rec. So what is left for them to do?
Game of Thrones.
No.
Hour long.
The ultimate comedy. Game of Thrones. No, I think you're right. I think the Big Bang Theory is about the only thing really left.
No.
But they might just step away from doing it.
Or maybe Sabrina, the teenage witch.
Yeah, that's potentially a good one, I think, because because they could go for the current version of Sabrina
Adventures, which is so good.
But I mean, I think you're at a point where it's all about to blow up because once Vision kind of went, hey, actually, what am I doing? Just sat here. I'm just going to fly. Correct me if I'm wrong. You don't see how that resolves itself. So presumably that reveal is going to get made. You've got the Rambo second Pietro thing going on, and Vision's going to turn up any second. So it's all going to blow apart, right?
Yeah. Well, and Darcy, and what's Darcy doing? She's on her way there.
Yeah.
She has a corn dog stand now.
With Darcy now having her mind back to herself.
Yeah.
Because Vision helped her do that. Is she going to be the catalyst to bring down the hex within?
Yeah.
You'd have to think the answer was probably, particularly if it turns out to be a scientific rather than a magical phenomenon, as you guys are positing. If it's a bit of a Mandelbrot kind of deal where it's all about code and whatnot and, patterns.
Well, and she still talks about bringing in her the aerospace engineer that she knows or whatever. And we haven't had, they talked about it a couple of times, and it's that we haven't had that reveal yet of who she was talking about or if they're on their way or if that's going to happen. So there's still the idea of this person she was talking about coming in at, on the outside and maybe making a connection with her. So they have like that in and out again between Darcy and whoever this person is.
Yeah.
And we can't forget.
Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, guys. It couldn't be. What is Jane Foster in the MCU?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is she? Could it be? It could literally be Jane Foster. She's going to be in. She's going to be in Thor. She's going to be in Love and Thunder, isn't she? Yeah.
Natalie Portman is coming back. They had the whole press conference, and she has the hammer. And one of the things that made her want to come back was the fact that they're going to do the whole. What was he?
Lady
who was the writer's name? That made her.
Jason Aaron. Jason Aaron.
Yes.
Yeah, they're going to do the Jason Aaron storyline. Well, at least base the Thor stuff on the Jason Aaron storyline, which I think was great. Thor went into depression. He didn't think he was worthy enough anymore. The hammer wouldn't let him pick it up because of this. Yeah. And she picks it up and becomes.
I still think they missed a huge opportunity with Thor because they're going to have Jane Foster Thor in there. They're talking about having like Frog Thor and other Thors in there. They should have called it Thor 4 More Thors because they missed a huge opportunity name there.
Thor 4 More Thors.
Yeah.
Thor 4 More Thors. Oh my God, that's a mouthful.
That should have been the name, but whatever.
I don't want him to do the Frog Thor. I got to be honest, man. Reading that was always just so.
That would be amazing if they did Frog Thor.
I would love it.
They could do it. They could do it Spider-Ham style and just have a relatively small cameo, I guess.
Yeah. Or even like because they have the Peter What Porter. If show. I mean, they could even do it in that. Yeah. That would be amazing to see some of the stuff from Simonson's run, like that, like the little stories like that, because it was just one issue where he was a frog, I think, right?
Like I think it was one, maybe 2 issues, and he came back to it. But it was a good issue. It was fun.
It was amazing.
Well, Beta Ray Bill, when he's
Beta Ray Bill is a good one.
Oh, yeah. That would be.
He's like Simonson all the way, isn't he? Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've heard rumors he's going to be in Love and Thunder, at least in some way. But I hope so because it'd be cool to see.
Well, they showed his effigy in Ragnarok.
Yeah.
So I think he's right there. I mean, he's definitely in the universe somewhere.
Yeah. So I go back to my question. Do you think we're going to get the full Mephisto reveal in this episode or this season? Or is that going to be something in like a future movie?
Did you ask that question? We answered that.
Nobody answered it. We just said, then we moved on.
Yeah, we did. I said that we might get some kind of reveal, but I think he's going to be the big bad in Doctor Strange.
Okay.
But your point is, are we going to get full blown Mephisto?
Yeah.
Or are we going to get just, because where he's going to be massive, he's going to be hugely tall, and he's going to be the full Satan. That's what I'd hope for. That's how I'd hope to see him.
He looks like Alice Cooper in the comic books, but with red.
What if he's Pietro and we just don't know it?
Could be. Yeah, could be. I love your Mr. Scratchy option though, mate. I think that's the one I'm
I think that's more.
I think that's
more right
one.
on. I missed that whole.
So did I.
I missed that. I missed his name.
Yeah. I hope they don't do any kind of. I hope what we've seen in this episode is all we really see of Mephisto, except for like maybe a name drop, and they don't he doesn't show up in the series. I hope he's it's like they mentioned he's part of it or whatever, but don't bring him in at the last minute because it'd be great for them to build up to it the show and then he shows up in Doctor Strange and it's ties in because Wanda's going to be in that movie too. It'd be a good tie-in.
Yeah, that'd be right.
I want him to show him.
Well,
I want to see him. I never like it when they tease something and then you got to wait 50 years to see the culmination of it. That drives me nuts.
That's the entire MCU. That's the entire MCU.
I want to see it. I want to see if it's Mephisto because he's such an interesting character because they didn't want to use the name Satan, even though they had that whole comic book Son of Satan, which was weird. But they didn't want to have the whole hell concept associated with them as much as they wanted to use it.
Yeah.
So they created Mephisto, and he's an interesting character. He's had a lot of his intertwining and his messing with people has had a lot of variations in the comic books. So it's going to be interesting. I'm excited if it is Mephisto. Let's put it that way. And now the Casey saying Darkhold on that book, now it's like, well, shoot, is it that? Or I kind of want to go back now because I think there's an M on that book though.
Yeah. So given that Mephisto is, short from Mephistopheles, who is one of the characters in Faust, could this have a Faustian ending?
That'd be interesting.
Where
who's going to sell their soul?
How do we know that, it hasn't already happened?
Yeah,
and
right.
This is just.
That's exactly what drives the whole Peter Mary Jane divorce, isn't it? That's a Faustian bargain.
Yeah.
So no, you're absolutely right. Once you use a character that's blatantly called that, you can open up all those, possible uses. I think you're right. By the way, Kenrick, I think if they are going, if Mephisto does appear, I would really like him to be fully revealed as Mephisto, because I don't know if a show that I quite liked. I don't know if you boys have watched it. It was Titans, right? DC's Titans.
Yep.
But I really enjoyed that show. But in season 1, I didn't like the fact that when Trigon turned up, he's just a guy in a business suit, like you would find in the show, like Charmed, right? You see his demon hand for a second, and in season 2, you get to see what he looks like. But you get all this kind of mapping through the portal where it's like, oh my God, this is what he really looks like. But when he comes through the door, you only get the lightest hint of it, and then he's just a regular guy. Yeah. I really hope, I can't see because of that. I can't see WandaVision going down that same route because, DC's Titans on a much lower budget has already done that kind of reveal where you don't, it's half-assed. So I think they'll either reveal him or they won't. My guess is if they do reveal him, it'll be him, full-blown Mephisto.
Yeah.
Well, in the same way they revealed full-blown Thanos years before he was ever in the narrative. Do you know what I mean?
I think you're right too. I think budget does come down to it. And if this is the catalyst to jumping off, is it phase 4 that we're getting into? And then if this is the catalyst to our phase 4 jump off, then I don't think you hold any punches.
No.
I don't think you sit there and because that is kind of boring to have. That's low. That's working around and trying to do the character development and working around that budget constraints when you have somebody walk through and they're just wearing a 3-piece suit and doing that classic look, I'm the devil, so I'm wearing this nice
Lucifer style performance, is good looking bloke in a dark suit. It's really well tailored,
Yeah, exactly. So I think having it be the full visual effect of who Mephisto is, and they don't even have to do it in they can have in a different realm, there was something I wanted to bring up actually, and I'm sorry if I could give me 1 second. I had this interesting article I read just the last night.
This is when Kenrick comes back on screen and he's completely naked.
Yes. Can't wait.
He's doing the tuck though. He's doing the tuck.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
The Silence of the Lambs style.
Yeah, so you're listening to this on the podcast, but we're doing it as a video call so we can see each other. But Kenrick's just silenced his camera for very strange reasons. Maybe he's revisiting that whole cops with their Punisher emblems conversation. Maybe cops just drove past.
Oh. Come on.
You get tucked back there.
Great sound effects, though, mate. You're totally selling what we're talking about.
God dang it. I can't seem.
Why do you have tassels on?
Yeah.
You know what I just totally did? I just totally made the motion to swing my tassel with my titty.
Is that baloney or is that your? Oh my God, your nipples are huge. Oh, I got to tell y'all a story real quick while Ken's doing this. Right? Okay, so I used to work for a medical company, and we would go to people's houses, and I would set up medical oxygen for people. I was at this house. There's this little redneck kid that was following me back and forth to the truck as I was getting the supplies for his grandma, right? So he was kind of annoying, but it was a cute little redneck kid. He was wearing a pair of shorts, no shoes, his bare feet, and his fat little tummy was hanging out because he didn't have a shirt on. So he was just kind of asking me questions and stuff. And finally, I heard his mom call him into the other room and said, David, time for dinner. So, little David goes out, and I was like, thank God this kid is finally gone. I can do what I need to do to get out of here. Because I was out in the middle of I was in deliverance country. I was way out in the sticks. And 5 minutes later, David comes back in. They had like cheeseburgers for dinner, apparently. And I know it was cheeseburgers because David comes in with a piece of cheese slapped on his tit right here, and a piece of cheese slapped on his tit right here. And very casually peeling the cheese off and eating it as he's talking to me like it's the most natural thing in the world. Like, of course, why would I not slap this piece of square cheese on my tit and eat it off?
Somewhere.
The child gave me a strip cheese. And I swear to God, this happened. I packed up, I got everything done. I ran to the truck and immediately called my wife because I was about to die. I was laughing my ass off. Who does that?
Only in the South, Casey.
Did you ask your wife first?
Only in the South.
Yeah. It's like the only thing.
Did you say to your missus, I've already eaten, but I'm bringing home dinner for you?
Oh my gosh, this kid! It was the strangest. Like, that is a future psychopath in the making. Like, he's just like, I don't know, man. What are you doing all day? Just peeling cheese off of his fat little boy titties, and yeah,
that's wrong on so many levels, man.
Yep.
Oh my God, that is.
Yep, we might need to cut this part.
Nope, it's staying in.
Okay.
No cuts.
So I read this interesting article. I think I found it. It's on Screen Rant, and it's just basically talks about the different people that could be Mephisto. Nope, this isn't the right one. Damn it. You know what? Forget it. I'm just done. I'm just done. I can't find it. I'm back. I put my clothes back on. Take the tassels off. We're good. I should have just printed it out and had it paper style because, God dang it. I saved it and everything on my phone, but for some reason it's going, you don't have an app that can open this. I'm like, it was a freaking website.
Consider your shirt's on backwards now.
Oh,
yeah, that's Sorry. Right. Yeah. Yes. that cop in the back here.
So next week, WandaVision. Episode.
What? WandaVision 8 next week.
Yep. And Vision is flying around. Where is Vision going? What are we going to see?
He's going to Wanda.
It's got to be going home. Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to Wanda, which he's not going to find her there because she's at Agatha's house.
But he's kind of tuned into her anyway, isn't he? I mean, he can find her pretty. It's like, when he snaps into consciousness, he's like, hang on, why am I sitting here? I could just go and, he automatically phases through the roof of the van. It's like he's in full control of himself in that moment.
When he's making those realizations, do you think his brain is his synapses are starting to repair themselves? And that's what's happening is we're seeing him going another thing.
Well, I think that's certainly possible, mate. Yeah, for sure. I mean, the thing that they never, because the implication in Infinity War was that they might be able to, free Vision from the power of the stone, the energy source that is the stone, and still have him being kind of self-sustaining. But Shuri just didn't have the time to do it. So, clearly the people who are working on it at the moment don't have the ability to do that. But, it makes you wonder if they will end up getting to the point where he is actually can be sustained via some other kind of energy force he can tap into and become self-sustaining. I feel that probably the arc would be more interesting if he winds up being dead, though. I think that would be better from a dramatic perspective. Although I don't want him to be because I love that character.
Yeah. When they started doing the whole thing, they're talking about them, bringing Vision back to life, and the guy is heading that up, and that's why he's so interested on what's happening and wanting to get him back, all that kind of fun stuff. It made me start thinking, because in like the second episode or the third episode, you saw that whole kind of like zombie Vision going on when he was talking to Wanda, and she saw him in the way she saw Pietro with the 3 gunshots.
Yeah.
If that's what they actually look like, and she's peering through the reality, or if that's just her mental capacity at the time of her depression and her mourning the loss of these people, and that's what she's seeing, and because they're standing in front of them.
At first I thought it was just she was seeing what they really were behind the facade, but seeing Vision outside of the hex, and he didn't have the hole in his head. I think that's not there. That Pietro really was pulled from the universe, and this is Vision rebuilt, and she's just seeing the horrible things from her memory, but that's not the reality. Is they're done. They're back, or they're not, they're whole again.
Yeah, me too. I think so too. All right, well, we should wrap up. Casey's got to get out of here. Look at that wild hair. Look at him. He is the complete boy band lumberjack man.
Yes, he is.
There he is.
That's my COVID hair. It was good talking to y'all. Y'all take it easy, guys.
Take care, brother. We'll see you next week.
All right. Well, let's. I guess we should probably wrap this up, anyways. And
yeah, sounds good.
Now that Alan's gone, now that Casey's gone, let's really talk some shit about him.
Like he has a Kickstarter going. You should go back at Voodoo Child. So just mention that again. Voodoo Chili.
You know what? Let's keep this on the air. So Sumner, Casey, I don't know if we told you this. We might have told you this already, but Casey has a Kickstarter going on with a really great artist named Pete Woods out of your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
And it's called Voodoo Child. Okay. But they spelt it CHILLE, which is fine.
But except CHILLA, which is fine, but it doesn't say child. It says chill.
Yeah. But me and Johnny, Kate, we didn't really talk to Casey we don't talk to Casey every day like this, right? So most of it's done through Messenger, right? Just how we talk to you a lot of time, through some type of instant messaging, be it Discord or Facebook or whatever. So he's sending this all over, and Johnny and I are talking about it, and me and Johnny literally voicily, if that's a word I can use, verbally talk to each other almost every day, verbally. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so we called it Voodoo Chili for like a year and a half. We've been saying Voodoo Chili. This thing is called Voodoo Chili. And when we did the second episode, or maybe the second episode of this WandaVision thing that we've been doing every week, Johnny and I are saying Voodoo Chili because that's what we're thinking. And Casey's like, "Oh, you guys are messing with me. What are you talking about? It's Voodoo Child." And we're like, "What?" What? And he's like, "Yeah, like Jimi Hendrix, Voodoo Child." And I'm like, "Voodoo Child?" He's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Dude, it looks like Voodoo Chili." and to me it made sense. I'm like, it's Voodoo Chili, like, eating crow. You're like,
yeah.
It made sense to me too. I'm like, oh, it's perfect.
Yeah, I thought it was cool, man. And then it was so funny. It was like, oh my God, it's Voodoo Child. Now we gotta really watch ourselves to make sure we say it right.
So
has he amended the spelling?
No,
they're keeping it CHILLE because Pete said he looked it up and there is a variation of it. And child, the way they're spelling it is if you look it up, he said it stands for Godhead.
Yeah.
So he's like, it still kind of made sense and it sounded cool. So we kept it that way.
Oh, interesting. Well, boys, on that interesting Voodoo Child note, I have had a great time talking to you and to both of you and to Casey about WandaVision 7. I look forward to talking to you both about WandaVision 8.
Vision 8. 1 week, we'll be back. And then after all this series is done, we will continue this with Winter Soldier and the Falcon. Is it Winter Soldier and the Falcon, or is it Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Falcon Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Keep it in alphabetical order, I guess.
Sure.
Also, we might want to just keep it rolling because there's in the off week there's a making of WandaVision, which will probably go into behind the scenes on a bunch of the decisions they made. So it could be that we've got a half an hour conversation in that.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure we can talk about half an hour about anything, guys. Anything.
Oh, sure, yeah. Let's face it. At least half of this one wasn't about WandaVision at all. You know what I mean? So it's all good though.
But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
always.
Do we want to do something like this for the Snyder Cut when it comes out?
We can do for sure.
We should do some kind of talk about it afterwards, because it's going to be it's kind of a big deal whether you're a fan of Snyder or not. It's a big deal.
Do we watch it all together and do a reaction video? I'm kidding. That's 4 hours long.
I was going to say yes, but apparently no.
Can you imagine? We sit there and we all watch it on our own little devices as we're on a Zoom meeting and have a 4-hour reaction video to the Snyder Cut.
I bet you people would watch it though.
Oh my God.
And with that, let's get out of here, guys.
We're out. See you guys later. Oh, give you a little Mephisto.
Take care, everybody. I'll see you both soon. See you all
later.
Soon. See you soon, Casey. Take care.
How do I stop this thing?
You push stop?
No, I'm like,
you press the record button again, don't you?
And we're back.
That's right. We are back. Back in the saddle again. Well, I hope you guys really, really enjoyed that as much as we did making it for you. And if you liked what you heard and you want to hear more, you got to go check out spoilerverse.com, because at spoilerverse.com we have a plethora. Plethora is such a snobbish word.
I like it though.
It's a good word. We have an obscene amount of interviews with amazing directors and artists of all walks of life, and editors and writers, and oh my God, are you a lover of comic books like we are? And then there's so many amazing people from the comic book world over at spoilerverse.com, and I highly implore you to go there and check it out.
Yeah, and while you're there, you can check out all the other podcasts on our network, like Bridges and Geekdoms and Funny Book Forensics and Haphazard Adventures and Nerds from the Crypt and so many more.
Misery Point Radio.
Episodes all the time. Misery Point Radio. They've got a ton of great stuff out there. Go check all of them out. And check out all of the reviews and previews and articles we have going up every single day for you. Every day on spoilerverse.com for you to check out, to read, and to love, and to like, and to comment. We have a store link. If you want to help support the site, you can do it two ways. One, go to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/spoilercountry, or go to our store link in the middle of the site there and get a t-shirt, a face mask, a hoodie, something, look fly as hell, and help support the site when you do that, because we get $1 or $2. And, maybe you want to talk to us. If you do, you can do it obviously on all the socials, but if you go to scpod.us/Discord, you can join our public Discord server and come chat with us all day long.
I couldn't say it better myself, dude.
There you go.
You just mouthed out a ton of information at once. And really, I hope you guys enjoy what you're hearing, because we're working our butts off to bring it to you.
We are.
I guess there's only one left thing. Yeah, I'm going to go with it. There's only one left thing left to do.
What's that?
In an oceans of podcasts, we are Cthulhu, as Cthulhu compels you to do. Open the mind and read more.